My name's Ben Lokuta. I play the drums. I mean, I've been playing drums. I can't remember a time when I didn't play drums. I started by just banging on, like I used to get all the containers in the house, all the plastic containers in the house, and I would set them up, and I even would take pot lids, classic story, right? Pots and pans. But I would take this one particular pot lid, and I would put a towel over it, and it would be essentially a hi-hat, because I could, I found if I put the towel halfway across it, that it made a little bit more of a closed hi-hat sound, but if I took the towel off, it made a more of a kind of an open hi-hat sound. And so I did stuff like that for a very, very long time, and I drove my parents crazy with it because there were always these little marks on our pot lids. but yeah, I don't know that I can remember the first time that I thought, wow, I can actually play something coherent, because in my mind, and I think like in a lot of performers' minds, the audience knows every single mistake that you make. Right, that's a classic performer story. The audience thinks it was fantastic, and then you go backstage, and the performer's like, "Oh, that was terrible! I messed up everything. That was completely awful." Well, yes and no. To the performer, it probably was. To the audience, it probably wasn't. I feel like if anything, just now I'm starting to get to the point where I can actually play things coherently. If hard as that might be to believe that it took 15 years to get there, but it's the truth that I'm just now starting to feel like I actually can play things coherently. Growing up as a kid, when I heard Neil Peart for the first time, Neil Peart's the drummer for Rush. In fact, when I just heard the band Rush for the first time, I couldn't help but be drawn to it. There was it was three guys, a bass player, a guitar player, and a drummer. And yet there were all these keyboards and backing vocals and all these sounds that I had no idea what was triggering them, how they had been recorded. I didn't know any of that. All I knew was that three guys were creating a sound that is like people can't rival it with a full symphony. So it was immediately incredibly inspiring. And over the years, I've just continued to find so many bands where 3, 4, 5 guys can create a sound that you never thought, that I never thought could happen. And I mean, they're doing all these crazy time signatures, and I mean, I could dissect so much great music. But at the end of the day, they're just great musicians. They're creating great art, and they're really, it might sound a little corny, but they're just so perfectly able to create their own human expression through their art form. So I never really considered Juilliard. In fact, I didn't even really consider the UW-Madison, although they have a great music program. Primarily for the reason that, okay, yes, there are a lot of music colleges all over the country, and there are actually a lot of really good universities that have a music school in them. But I wasn't really interested in going to a university where I'd have to spend the first 2 years doing gen eds, and then I could do music. And I also wasn't, I've been trying to go to school for playing the drum set. I'm not trying to be like a pit orchestra musician. I'm not really trying to be a classical player either. I just kind of want to play the drum set. And it turns out that there's actually very few places that you can go and study playing the drum set right from your first semester. McNally was one of them. LACM was another one. MI, Musicians Institute, which is in Hollywood, that's another one. Berkeley's another one. But Juilliard's more focused on like Broadway and jazz and, you know, styles that do involve a drum set, but not to the level that I'm looking for.
Over the side. Yeah, let's go! Yeah. Thanks, man. Mary Lokuta back on the lightning board. And it's that true Lokuta helping out with that as well. Supply hot dogs! Hot dogs! Got take these.